So are you torn between purchasing a home in an HOA or a non-HOA or maybe a voluntary HOA? I'm gonna break it all down for you so that you know the pros and cons and so you don't regret your decision when you go out to purchase a home. I want you to make the best decision for your lifestyle and for your future. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the big one, HOA communities. First of all, HOA, for those of you that may not know, stands for Homeowners Association. It's a governing body that enforces rules and policies for the members of the community for shared amenities within the community. These communities often have monthly fees, quarterly fees, or yearly fees. The money that's obtained goes towards maintaining the common areas, landscaping, amenities like pools, clubhouses, pickleball courts. So let's talk about the pros and cons of an HOA. Usually in an HOA community, you're gonna know right when you enter the community because aesthetically it is very pleasing. Think manicured lawns, consistent paint colors throughout the neighborhood. These neighborhoods often are known for maintained property values, no abandoned vehicles, no campers, no boats. Many of these HOA communities offer a lot of great perks, such as pools, tennis courts, clubhouses. This can really add a great benefit to your lifestyle. This might be what you're looking for. And these clear guidelines that they have for the community creates a harmonious feel for the community. For example, they're gonna be enforcing noise limits, they're gonna be enforcing pet policies. Oftentimes, they enforce rules regarding rentals so that there's not an Airbnb next door or even long-term rentals. Now, the cons. Let's talk about the fees and the assessments. Yep, there can be both. Monthly fees can add up, same as quarterly, same as yearly. Sometimes within the community, there can be some major unexpected repairs that need to be done. And it can catch you off guard. Oftentimes what happens is the HOA will place assessments on each homeowner within the community. These assessments can range from $5,000, $10,000, I've even seen it up to $20,000. Now you're probably thinking, I can't afford a $20,000 bill. Well, what happens is they put you on a payment plan. So now you have an added bill of probably a couple $100s a month and until you pay that full amount. But what if you need to sell and you haven't paid off this assessment? That's not good because you're either gonna have to pay that in full, take it out of your proceeds when you go to sell your home, or the buyer may have to pay that, and it may deter a lot of buyers. Sometimes these fees and monthly payments can also increase year to year. If the community is adding more events, maybe the community is voting on adding maybe a garage sales or a yearly Easter egg hunt or maybe some Christmas events. Those things are all gonna cost money, and if they're not added to the budget of the HOA, then they may decide to increase the budget to be able to provide these things. Now, the other con is definitely some of the restrictions. Can really limit your personal freedom with your home. For instance, they're going to ban certain colors. You're not going to be able to paint your house, the two colors of your favorite football team. For here, it would be the Broncos, the great orange and blue. Yes, I've seen the bright orange and blue homes. They are not in HOA communities. Parking is sometimes restricted. Sometimes you cannot park on the street overnight in some of these communities. You can't park a camper, an RV, a boat, a trailer, sometimes on your property. Sometimes they'll require them to be parked inside your garage or behind a fence so you can't see them. So if you're somebody that has a boat or a camper, it's going to be an added cost for you to store those at another facility. So you have to think about those things. They can also enforce pet policies, making it to where there's a limit on the number of dogs or cats you can have in your home. And us being in Colorado and being so dog friendly, that can be a deal breaker for some people. I had real life experience here. Let me tell you a story. So I had a client that was trying to sell their home in an HOA. I did not sell them this home. I was helping them. I did not move them into this home initially. I am helping them sell it and purchase their next house. But within the last year, all the homeowners were given an assessment of $5,000, and it was gonna go towards pool repair. This was an unexpected cost. This affected them greatly when it came time to selling the home because it did deter a couple buyers, and actually a contract fell through because of it. Now, this is really important when you're going to purchase a home. Make sure you read the fine print. Again, it's really important at this stage to find a really educated agent that's going to educate you on what to look for when you're looking over HOA documents. So make sure you read that fine print. Let's talk about the non-HOA communities. Now, these non-HOA neighborhoods do not have a governing body. You can manage your own space and your property as you wish. You do have to follow the rules and regulations of your city and county, but you can do things to your property without asking permission. Going back to the HOA, if you wanted to paint your door red, you may have to ask your HOA to do that. If you're going to change up your landscaping, you're going to have to get that approved by your HOA. In a non-HOA community, you can do those things without asking permission from anybody. So the pros to a non-HOA community is there's no monthly expense of an HOA. You can park your RV, your boat, your camper in your driveway, behind your fence. You can park it in front of your house. You can park it really anywhere. But it also means that your neighbor can park 3 or 4 abandoned vehicles next door to you as well. They can also build a gigantic treehouse in their front yard or paint their house Bronco colors. But what you aren't going to have is those ugly surprises of an assessment from your HOA. So that means you can keep money in your pocket and prioritize spending that money maybe in a different way. Also, there's a lot more flexibility. There's no negotiating those bureaucracies of an HOA. Sometimes there's a lot of politics involved. You don't need to go through that when you're wanting to make a small change to your property. Now the cons. You're going to have inconsistent appearances with the neighborhood. When you drive through the neighborhood, the homes are going to be all different colors. They could be all different shapes and sizes. They are going to have all varying types of yard maintenance done. You may have a home that's pristine and another home that's neglected. You aren't going to have the community resources such as a neighborhood pool. You're probably not going to have a pickleball or tennis court. You're not going to have a clubhouse. If you have a dispute or an issue with a neighbor, such as noise or a bad rental situation, you're kind of left on your own to figure that out. So I once sold a home to some buyers in a non-HOA community, and they thought that this was going to be the perfect place for them to start their new life. Unfortunately, about a year later, the house next door was bought by an investor, and that investor turned it into an Airbnb. And so they unfortunately had to start dealing with parties every weekend, a lot of traffic going in and out of the Airbnb, and it really wasn't something that they were liking at all. So it can be a deal breaker for some people. You just have to, again, think a little bit forward on what the potential could be, what the pros and cons are. Like I said, usually in my videos, I always say there's always good, bad, and ugly for everything. Now there's one more. A lot of people overlook this one. It's called a voluntary HOA. Oftentimes when you're looking at homes online and you're specifically choosing that filter that says, is there an HOA, yes or no? A lot of times these voluntary HOAs are listed as yes, even though they're voluntary and you do not have to pay the fee. So this can be an overlooked area with buyers, but it can be a hidden gem. A voluntary HOA gives homeowners the opportunity and the ability to do what they want with their home. Typically, the funds that are collected go towards maybe an amenity like a park in the neighborhood. It may go towards a community event, like maybe there's a community garage sale once or twice a summer, or there's an Easter egg hunt, or there's a 4th of July parade, but there's no governing body that, has rules and regulations with the neighborhood. So this could be a great thing to give you that sense of community without the added expense. But some of the cons, like I said, your neighbor can still have those abandoned vehicles in their driveway. Houses can be painted any color they want. There is no members of the HOA that are going to be able to handle disputes. So you're left on your own if there's a noise problem, if there's a rental problem, if someone's just really got a dilapidated house. But on the flip side, your budget is really probably pretty predictable because these voluntary HOAs I've seen as low as $50 a year. Sometimes they're $100, $200. So really look into those amenities to see if it's worth it for you. So how do you decide between the 3 of these options? Well, you got to ask yourself, how much control do you want over your property? Do you like the cohesiveness of a really aesthetically pleasing neighborhood? Are you willing to pay extra for those convenient amenities like a pool? And do you value that consistency and shared rules? Or do you prefer freedom and flexibility? You have to really consider your lifestyle when asking yourself these questions. Do you love all the organized perks? Do you love all the events? Will you really take advantage of that clubhouse and that pool? Is it going to be financially worth it for you, or is it going to be a budget breaker? Do you need financial freedom, or can you really justify the cost? Sometimes non-HOA neighborhoods can have an aesthetically nice appeal, but be in a non-HOA. And sometimes a full HOA is a better fit. But there's also those that like the middle ground of a voluntary HOA, where you have few guarantees at a low cost. So there you have it, all the pros and cons and everything you need to know about all the different types of HOAs that you're gonna find here in Littleton, Colorado. Each of them has their unique benefits and challenges. So it really comes down to what's most important to you and what lifestyle is going to fit the best community for you. And also, is your lifestyle going to fit an HOA or a non-HOA? If you're still unsure and you don't know where to find your perfect neighborhood, reach out to me. I'm a native here in Littleton, so I know all the areas, I know all the ins and outs, and I know all those secret hiding spots with the best houses. So whether it's a non-HOA community or a full HOA community, I'm your gal. Give me a call. I'm happy to help. Again, follow my last few videos if you'd like to know some more information about Littleton. I've got some great facts and tidbits in there that could really be beneficial if you're looking to purchase a home here. And of course, remember, go ahead and subscribe if you didn't already, and hit that little bell so you can get the reminder for my next video next week. Thank you.